Oh, hello YouTube. I'm in the Nook, which means it is time for another episode of Drunk Classics. And today I'm going to be embarking on Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I'm pretty excited about it. I did read Pride and Prejudice and surprisingly really super enjoyed it. So I'm hoping to strike gold twice with the next book. I have a very full glass of wine. I figured, you know what, let's go hard. Anyway, I'm gonna start reading and I'll check back in soon when I feel like I need to check back in. This is my first refill. Feeling good. I've only read like 45 pages. I'm not very far in the book, but I figured I'd do a check-in since I'm starting my second glass. Sense and Sensibility starts out, there's this old guy and he's like, hey, family, the Dashwoods, come live at my house. Like, I'm old and I have a lot of money, but I'm lonely. And so they go live with like their rich uncle. And like, it works out great. Everyone's having a great time. And the old uncle dies and he gives this like big inheritance to the Dashwoods. And they're like, sweet, cool, that's nice. And then, wouldn't you know, Mr. Dashwood just ups and dies too. And the thing is, Mr. Dashwood was on his second marriage. His first marriage, he had a son. And this marriage he's in right now, he only had daughters. So, you know, in this time period, the son gets everything. So they're reading his will now, and his son shows up, who's basically like if a golden retriever was a person, kind of. He's just very like nice and doesn't think really hard about things. And his dad is just like, hey, like, don't be a dick to your sisters. Like, I know they're your half sisters, but it's not my fault your mom died. Like, just take care of them financially. And he's just like, all right. And he feels real good about it. He's like, I'm gonna give them money. I'm a great brother. Like, he's so proud of himself. But here comes his wife, and she's like a real bitchenstein. Like, she's like, do you need to give money to them? She's just basically like twists all of his goodwill around. She's like, but what about your son? What about our son? Like, you're taking away money from him. Mind you, this guy's like stupid rich. So like him giving like a couple £1,000 to them would not make a difference, but she's just like a snot. And she's really mean. She's like the evil stepmother, even though she's not their stepmother. She's just some lady who married their brother. So the Dashwoods, they're just like, you know what? Fuck this noise, we're out. And they move away to the country. They're in Devonshire. There's two sisters. There's Mrs. Dashwood and the two sisters, Eleanor and Marianne. So Eleanor is very sensible. She's she's just very sensible. That's her whole thing. She's the sensibility of Sense and Sensibility. And I feel like Marianne is the sense, because Marianne she's like 17, so she's just kind of like wild and like in love with everything. She's just like, wow, life's great. You know, she's very optimistic and like fanciful. And so they're having like, I don't know, like a musicale or something. I don't know. They're just playing music one night and some of the neighbors come over and this guy, Colonel Brandon, shows up, and he's kind of, you know, boring, to put it mildly, but like the mom's like, I think he likes Marianne, and so she's like, hey Marianne, like, what do you think about Colonel Brandon? And she's like, Colonel Brandon is 35. He could be my father. So he is old enough to be my dad, and so she's freaking out about it, and her mom's like, so what else do you think? So I was like a little ew for a moment, because she's 17 and he's 35. He is twice her age. So anyway, quick check-in. I'm still working on glass 2, but we're gonna keep going. It's gonna be a good time. So Marianne, we were just talking about her and Colonel Brandon. So she's like out strolling about because she's 17 and silly, and it's raining, and she's like, oh, let's run down this hill in the rain, because, you know, she's 17 and stupid. So she does that. She twists her ankle all bad, and there's this guy, and he has his dogs with him, and he's just like, oh, and he runs over, and he like carries her home, and he gets to their house, and there's a full like like kick down the door. Where's your mother? Like he's just carrying this wet girl. It's a very dramatic entrance for like a love interest. But it's funny though because everyone's like, yeah, Willoughby's like a cool guy. That's the carrying guy, Willoughby, and everyone's like, yeah, you know, he's a good guy. But like, what about Colonel Brandon? Like, he really likes you. Like, everyone's really into Colonel Brandon and Marianne getting together, even though he is twice her age. I mean, in that time period, it probably was not unusual for that to happen. In my modern sensibilities, I find it gross. As I am starting my 4th glass of wine, I also want to say that my fuckboy meter is going off. So Willoughby, he is, you know, I just talked about his dramatic entrance onto the scene, and he and Marianne are like peas in a pod. They're like, yeah, we love everything. Everything is great. Did you hear that song? Did you read this book? Everything's wonderful. They're just very fanciful people. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I don't want to yuck their yum because they're both doing their thing. But I got my eye on Willoughby. Like, I feel like he's a fuckboy in the making because he just left. Like, they were going off with each other all the time, acting very lovey-dovey. The mom assumes they're engaged, and then he just leaves. He's like, I'm going to London for a while. My aunt said I had to. Okay, bye. And Eleanor is just like, something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Like, she is just not having it. And the mom's like, no, it's fine. They're engaged. And she's like, are they? Like, have you asked? Is there a ring on her finger? Because I don't think they're engaged. Nothing has said they are engaged besides that they hang out all the time. And the mom's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And she's like, I'm going to worry a lot about this. And Marianne, of course, is like the most heartbroken person who's ever been heartbroken. And it's just, I don't think they're engaged because they would have said like, okay, here's the deal. Knowing these characters, if they were engaged, they wouldn't be able to shut the fuck up about it. Like, they would be telling everybody until everyone's ears were bleeding. So I think, like, he's a fuckboy. But let's talk about Colonel Brandon some more. I really started to feel for this guy because he's like fucking Eeyore. Everybody's like, whoa, Brandon's no fun. He's a downer. If everyone treats you like you're no fucking fun all the time, you're gonna be Eeyore. Like, this is how your personality is going to be. And he's actually like super nice, and Eleanor likes him. She's like, yeah, he's like cool if you like sit down and talk to him for a fucking minute. And that's something I do like about Eleanor, actually. Like, she doesn't like change her opinion about people because someone's making fun of him, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, no, like, I like Colonel Brandon. Like, he's really cool. Have you talked to him? Because I bet you haven't. You're just being a dick and making fun of him, Willoughby. So she's like, she's not really on Team Willoughby, but she's like, he's fine, whatever. One other thing. There's this guy, Edward Ferrars. And, like, I think, I don't know, all these people are related to each other in weird ways. I think Edward is like the evil stepmother or the wife of their half-brother, her brother. And I think like he and Eleanor like had a thing, but like the thing isn't happening now, and Eleanor's kind of like, huh, like that's weird. So I don't know, he's just showed up and he's boring too, so I'm like, well, two boring people, like go be boring together, I guess. So these two ladies, they show up in town and they're visiting with Eleanor and Marianne. I almost forgot her name, but I didn't. Lucy, one of the Miss Steeles, she's like, oh yeah, Edward, Mr. Ferrars, like, we're totally engaged. We've been engaged for like 4 years. And Eleanor is like having an apoplexy inside because she's like, oh, that dick has been flirting with me for like a long time now. I totally forgot they have a third sister who does nothing in the book. Her name's Margaret. I think she's like a kid. She's like 13 or something. So she's just around every once in a while. Like and they're like, oh yeah, and then Margaret was over there. They just randomly mention her like standing over there in the corner. Like, why even have Margaret in the book? Do they need a third sister? Like, she serves no purpose. Is she gonna serve a purpose? Because right now she's just like a very fancy paperweight. the bottle is empty. And I read half of Sense and Sensibility. I read half of it today. And you know what? I'm bored. And I figured this is a good time to stop reading because the one gasp I have had is that Willoughby is 110% a fuckboy. And I called it. I knew it. He was too slick. He was too smooth with his like hair. He probably had really good hair because they always do. It was probably floppy and like nice. But anyway, so let me paint the picture. So Marianne and Eleanor, they're with Mrs. Jennings. She's like this like lady, and she's very like flighty and whatever. They're all going to London, and Mrs. Jennings is like gonna be their like chaperone. So they're in London, and that's where Willoughby's supposed to be. So Marianne's like, I totally want to go to London. So she gets there and she sends him a note, and then like he doesn't respond. And then like he still doesn't respond. And then finally she sees him at a party, and he's just like, oh, hey. And he's really distant, and like even Eleanor's like, the fuck? Like, she's not having it. And then like she writes him an angry letter, Marianne. She's like, what the fuck? And he says like, oh yeah, so hey, it was fun while I was in the country, you know? Thanks for being a pal. Oh man. And then, you know, Marianne is just devastated. But it's like, that is peak fuckboy behavior, where you have been dating this guy for months and he still calls you his friend. Like, whoo. I want to strangle him. So, yeah, I'm fully correct in this fuckboy etude. Regency fuckboy, that's Willoughby, that's who he is. I'm hoping things get cooler in the second half of the book, but right now they're like not that cool. This is all the wine that's left of that bottle. I drank a lot of that bottle. Like, I had a couple glasses previously, so it wasn't the whole bottle I drank, but like probably like 60% of the bottle. That's in my body now. Anyway, I'm gonna end reading for today, and I will continue tomorrow fresh. Hello YouTube. It is day 2 of Sense and Sensibility. Yesterday didn't go well. I read half the book. Did I like the book? The answer is no, I did not. It's just basically about people who are sticks in the mud, and then also fuck boys. That's what I have gathered so far. Not having the best time. However, today I got my tripod out. Usually I'm just like freewheeling with my hand when I'm intoxicated, and I'm like, you know what? Why have a shaky video? I have a tripod. Sober me is making decisions for drunk me, and they're good ones. Also today, I decided to switch to white wine because yesterday I think drinking all of that red wine did not help my enjoyment of Sense and Sensibility. It's just a heavier taste, and this is more like crisp and acidic and effervescent, so I'm thinking that's gonna work out. Also, I realized I didn't tell you guys what I was drinking yesterday, so I was having a Nero d'Avola, and it was good. This isn't the best Nero d'Avola I've ever had, but it was pretty good. It's Italian Sicilian wine. It's drinking wine, you know what I mean? It doesn't really have a long finish, but it's nice and like bright and like ripe, juicy fruit, like berries on the tongue. So it's very nice if you just want to like drink something. It's drinking wine, Nero d'Avola. Today, I've gone with a Gruner Veltliner, which is Austrian. It's kind of like a Riesling, but fancier. So I do recommend that. It has nice, crisp acidity. It has like lime kind of taste and like melon. It's really nice. I like it. It's kind of a dry white wine, but it's good. Gonna go on with second half of the book. Maybe I'll finish it today. I'm not gonna push myself because I don't like it. But maybe wine will help. Time will tell. Okay, so pause. So we already don't like Willoughby, right? So he's a piece of shit. He like deceived Marianne because everyone thought they were engaged. Like everyone was going around town saying like, oh, him and Marianne, they're getting married. He's marrying some other broad. He's a fuckboy. Guess what? So apparently, you know, Eeyore, Colonel Brandon, he shows up and he's just like, listen, Eleanor, I didn't want to say nothing, but like, I gotta tell you this thing. Like, he knocked up my niece and he took off. Like, oh. And she was probably 15. He knocked up a 15-year-old and then just took off. Regency fuckboy. So Eleanor, she's kind of a stick in the mud, but also, to her defense, she is surrounded by idiots. So many people around her are just so dumb all the time. So now I'm kind of feeling Eleanor. She's still like a stick in the mud, but like, now she's kind of like sarcastic. It took a while for her to like warm up to me. Well, me to warm up to her. There's warming happening. So now that I'm warming up to Eleanor, like, I'm like feeling her a lot because Edward just showed up and Lucy's there being a bitch, like snide little comments, and then Edward shows up when Lucy is talking to Eleanor. You know, the two girls he was kind of dating are there, and he's just like, so it's an incredibly awkward moment that we're interrupting, and then Marianne shows up. She's like, oh, she's just like living her best life. She's real sassy. Like, someone was sassy to Eleanor, and she's like, bitch, do you want to catch some hands? Like, I'll throw down. Like, I'm like probably 60, like two-thirds through this book at this point, and only now are Eleanor and Marianne like growing on me. It's 2/3 through the book. I also think wine is helping. Like, I'm being much more lenient in them, in my regards, but like, it's fun. Okay, so shit just hit the fan. You see, this is a fan. Shit just hit it. Secret engagement with Edward and Lucy. The secret's out. Like, people found out. Mrs. Dash with Fanny, her name's Fanny, but she's married to their older brother, and she had a straight conniption. She like, oh, like the vapors, like just conniption fit. Cause like, I guess the Miss Steele isn't rich either. Like, she's just some poor girl, and they've been like, and Fanny and their family's very rich, so they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And so she had a conniption, and she went and tattled. She went and told her mom what's going on, and then like everyone's like, oh shit. So his mom also having a conniption, and she's like, what are you doing? You're not gonna marry this girl, or I'm gonna cut you off. And he's just like, I promised her, so like, I got to. And she's like, okay, I'm cutting you off. You don't get no money, or you could just cut this like engagement off, and like, you could be my, like, you could have all this money. You could just stay like cool with me. Just break the engagement. You're like, do you really like this girl? Let's break the engagement. And he like fucking won't do it. What? I feel like breaking this engagement would solve a lot of his problems, and he just won't do it. And it's like, are we supposed to like this guy? Are we supposed to think that Edward is good enough for Eleanor? He had an out and he didn't take it. Fucking why? Like, no one likes her. Like, no one likes her. Like, even Fanny's like, this bitch? Like, even she kind of knew that Edward and Eleanor like had a thing. Like, a lot of people knew. And then like, here's the thing. She hates Lucy so much that even she's like, could you just marry Eleanor? And it's funny that now she's kind of being nice to Eleanor, because she's like, hey, I mean, even Eleanor's better than that girl. And from what I'm supposed to believe in the text is that Edward loves Eleanor too. Why doesn't he break the fucking engagement? I have no words. Like, literally everybody's just like pro Eleanor at this point. I don't get it. One other thing, like, I have found that I actually kind of like here is that Marianne and Eleanor's like sisterhood friendship is like dope, because Marianne has been moping for so long, and she's like, you've known this shit for 4 months and you've been taking care of me? And Eleanor's like, yeah, like, what was I gonna do? And she's like, I'm gonna murder a motherfucker. Like, Marianne is like just so emotional all the time, but like, if someone's fucking with her sister, she will throw down. Like, she is not having this. And she's just pacing around the room just going, oh, this motherfucker. Like she's just all riled up. And I love that they like have such a good sisterhood with each other. Like they're there for each other all the time. Oh my gosh. And I have eyelash in my eyeball from all this excitement. Just everyone should marry Colonel Brandon. Like is he like super flashy and entertaining? No, he's a little boring, but like he's very sweet. You could do worse in this time period. He probably has all his teeth too. Like, it's the Regency. Teeth were like a good commodity to have. Okay, so I'm this far through the book. And also, all of this wine is in me. This bottle, I cracked it open right before I started reading. So, you know, that's my life. Marianne, she's like mega sick. Like, not just like sick, like she's like mega sick, like delirious with fever sick. And everyone's like, oh shit, like people die because of this kind of sickness. So everyone's freaked out. Colonel Brandon shows up and he's just like, oh my gosh, what can I do? Should I go get your mom? Like, I'll do whatever. And like, he's just there to be nice. He's 0% trying to flirt with like the unconscious fever girl. Like, I mean, it would have been pretty hard to do that, but I bet you Willoughby probably would have tried because he's a fuckboy. And Colonel Brandon's the only guy in this book who's not a fuckboy. And he's just like, listen, like, I'm here to help. Like, what can I do? Like, he's so fucking nice. Everyone treats him like Eeyore, and he's so nice. Like, can we just give him, like, a medal and possibly a hug? Like, I love him. He's so good. These people don't deserve it. Colonel Brandon's the best. And the thing is, all I can also think about while reading this book, like, yeah, Marianne's sick and like I feel bad and I like Colonel Brandon, but also my brain is scheming on how to trick my boyfriend into getting me more Taco Bell, because I just had it yesterday and I know this is terrible for me, but like the cheesy and crunchiness of Taco Bell is like determined perfect for drunk people. Like whoever invented Taco Bell was just like, hey, how do we get the drunks? Crunchy cheese. Like they knew what they were doing. They knew it. Oh my gosh, this is my first real gasp in this whole book. I've officially had a gasp. So, remember Willoughby, that fuck boy? Guess who just showed fucking up? So, Marianne, I said she was super sick. Like, she was super sick. Like, everyone's like, she's gonna die. And then, like, Willoughby finds out. So you know who shows up at her fucking house drunk? Fucking Willoughby. This is peak fuckboy behavior. And he goes into this long thing to Eleanor telling her, like, oh, I'm the victim in this. Like, oh, like, I really did love your sister. But then, like, my aunt was, like, gonna disown me. And then she did. And then I needed money. So I was like, fuck it. And I married this other lady who had a lot of money. But now I'm sad. Like... This pathetic fucking, like, excuse to, like, jilt Marianne. But he's just like, but I love Marianne. And Eleanor's like, bitch, no one forced you to marry this other lady. Like, do you want me to feel bad for you? Like, I kind of do. Like, I understand that you did love her. And then, like, you're unhappy now. And, like, I don't want you to be unhappy. But, like, fuck you. She doesn't get tricked by fuckboys. Like, that's one reason to like Eleanor, because he shows up trying to make this all about him. This is peak fuckboy behavior. And I was like, damn, Jane Austen, you fucking nailed it. Apparently, like, fuckboys have been around since forever. Like, he has no right to be like, oh, like, I'll be sad when someone marries your sister because I can't have her. And it's like, fuck you. Fuck you. Go fuck your wife, you asshole. Eleanor's like says that to him, but you know, in Regency talk, so there wasn't any fucking or assholes involved. But like, she sent him on his way. He shows up fucking drunk trying to make everyone feel bad for him in this situation. It's like, no, you're like a spoiled little rich boy who's sad that you didn't get to like have your cake and eat it too. Fuck Willoughby. Like, oh my gosh, like, y'all, if you ever need, like, a definition of fuckboy, Willoughby. Exhibit A. Okay, I have officially finished Sense and Sensibility. I've read the whole thing, guys. I finished it. I drank more wine than was necessary, but you know what? No, I didn't. I drank the right amount of wine that was necessary because this book was boring, and the wine made it fun. So, here's the deal. Remember Edward? He is like a boring fuckboy because like he was engaged to this other chick. And then like Eleanor finds out, oh, I saw Lucy and she was married, and she's like, bah! Like she loses her shit. And then it turns out Lucy fucking married Edward's brother Robert, who's just very foppish and just like blah 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 blah. They're actually very well suited for each other because they're both just idiots. So they went off and got married, and Edward shows up and he's just like, oh, I want to marry Eleanor real bad. And like everyone's like, yay! Everyone just like forgets like all the damage he caused. It's just like everyone's real happy. And then Marianne and Colonel Brandon get together officially. Like he was just so nice for so long. Eventually she's like, I like nice. And like eventually she just married him. And the way Marianne is, she's just very in depth with her feelings. She's just like, she can't feel anything in a half measure. So she's like, I like Brandon, but like, I mean, I'm obsessed with now Brandon. So she's like married to Colonel Brandon, although he is like, you know, 17 years older than her, whatever. She's like 19 when she gets married to him, and he's almost 40, but whatever. And then Eleanor and Edward get married, and everybody's just happy. And they all married fuckboys, except for Colonel Brandon. Like, Marianne lucked out because she got Colonel Brandon, who's dope. He's not a fuckboy at all. He's very nice. And then Edward, I guess he's nice. They're trying to say he's nice, but I'm just like, you knew you were engaged and you were flirting with Eleanor. Like, I don't know how I feel about you. And even Willoughby, they're like, yeah, you know, Willoughby, he's always kind of like still in love with Marianne, but like he's not unhappy. Like his marriage is fine, but like he's still in love with Marianne, and he's kind of sad when like he finds out she gets married. So like overall, big happy ending. So did I enjoy this book? I think it's pretty clear. No, I did not enjoy the book. It was like fine, I guess. I don't know. The second half was definitely better than the first half. But like, I don't know, I only had one gasp moment in this whole book. And like, I like gasping at things. And this one did not provide gasps. But it did give me one, so I have to give it credit for that. And in the second half of the book, I did kind of like Eleanor, and I did kind of like Marianne. So like, it took a while for me to warm up to these characters. I mean, not Colonel Brandon. He's been dope since the beginning. I don't know, the second half was better than the first, so 3 stars? I don't know. I frankly have drank a lot of wine. However, drinking white wine instead of red wine, I feel smart about it, because red wine gave me a headache and white wine doesn't give me a headache. So like, I'm having a blast, and I drank wait, how much? I don't know, like between 60 and 70% of that bottle. That being said, I'm gonna stop here, and I'm gonna go trick my boyfriend into getting me more Taco Bell. That's how I'm gonna celebrate Taco Bell, Sense and Sensibility. It's really just sarcasm and fuckboys. That's what I got out of this. So much fuckboys. Okay, so what do I say at the end of videos? Oh yeah, if you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. That was so hard to do. Okay, bye.